The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April Consultant Roundtable. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, thank you for sharing the Consultant Roundtable invite with your team and colleagues. If there's anyone you would like to be included in the invites, please let us know in the questions, or please send us an email after the session. Our agenda for today is we have Lydia from the Central Center of Excellence talking about the CCOE enhanced package. Jason King will be discussing Sage 500 DMT data migration tool. As well, we have What's New session, Sage University for You, and we'll be discussing upcoming sessions. And so from here, we're going to talk about the enhanced package with Lydia. Lydia's just joining. Lydia, are you all set to go?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I just need to share my screen and then.
Perfect.
Give me a second.
And welcome, Lydia.
Thank you for inviting me.
Do you see sharing
honestly,
at the top?
It allows me to share the camera, but I don't see where I can share the desktop, honestly.
So once you open the sharing, you see show screen. It's the icon on the left. Looks like a play button.
It's not there. If you want, if Jason wants.
I've just made you the presenter. Thanks, Jason.
Okay.
We've got your screen now.
Now, yes. Now I can see the option. Can you see my screen?
I can. Sorry about that. That was on me.
No worries. It's the demo effect. Okay, so thank you for inviting me to your roundtable. So it's the second time we've been here, and we considered that it was interesting for you to present you what is the COE X3 enhanced package. Before it was known about seed folder, and then it was the COE seed folder, and there were confusions on that. And I think it's one of the most well-kept secrets, and I don't know why, because this is here really for help you partners, also internal people from Sage, but especially partners, to make your life easier. So that's why I came here to present what you can get from that solution. So quickly, I'm going to present today's objective. So why I want you to see this information and what I would like to get from you. I will explain you in a bit. Then I will explain you exactly what is our package, this environment, because it is an environment. I will present you the latest releases that we issued, and then the content that we can find. I will do it quickly, but then you will have all the slides to check by yourself. Then I've included the demo script catalog that we include there. We are not going to see them, but you will have that on the slides. And then you will see when are the new release dates for our EP. And finally, I would like to gather some ideas from you on how can we improve that content and communication. Content for the ones that are already using, communication for the ones that they don't even know that this existed. Okay, and I will send you a survey through the chat. Okay, so you can fill in after this session. So going quick, basically this EP environment was existing all over the years. And we realized that most of you, not only in the US, but in all the countries, nobody knew, or not many people knew that this was existing, okay? So as part of our fiscal year 23 goals, the COE decided that we need to push that. So what we've done is we put together all our pre-sales from different countries and see what we can add in this environment. And I will show you now what it is, to make your life easier. Life easier meaning we can make you quicker when you prepare a demo, when you want to upskill your consultants, when you want to test things, even when you need to include testing with ISVs or external softwares. So my questions for you, and this will be in the external survey that I will be sending, is, do you really understand what this tool is? Are you getting benefit of it now? And if yes, how we can improve, or how can we improve our communication to you? Content, clarification, what it is this SET EP, enhanced package. It's an environment. So you all know probably what is the SET folder, that it's a SET folder within our X3 solution, where we always find predefined data and setup. We all know that. We all of us as consultants, probably we have already used that for a demo, for a training, for testing, wherever. And then we also find useful that we have some pre-sales visual processes. It's useful to know if something is a bug or it's not a bug. And of course, for training, because we have some preset data. What we do with this SET, we create an environment where we put all these SET features, but then we pre-installed some global tech partner solutions, or what it was so-called ISVs. So in that sense, what we have currently is SEI, SDA, or SDMA. I know that depending on the country, you use more SDMA more than SEI, but they are here, they are both. Web scheduling, procession. We issue 2 machines, one with procession, one without procession. Why? Because there are some countries that they don't work with procession. ATP, GraphQL features, and so on and so forth. We also include some localization. So there are some specific users where you, by default, can have some visual processes, some landing pages that are only related to your legislation. And this is the job that your local pre-sales are doing. You will see what US pre-sales do on their site. And we also include some visual processes or demo scripts. This is something that almost nobody knows, and I think it's good and it's worth it to understand that it's a work that we've been doing for so many years, and they are useful when you try to demo a feature or when you try to skill up a new consultant. This is nothing else than a PPT that we create with all the instructions that you need to follow step by step to demo and to explain a new feature. It could be revenue recognition, it could be PJM, it could be MRP. And we also explain the business benefits. So this is all done and it's included in the SET EP. However, many people didn't know it was not there, so we didn't get any feedback, and we discovered that nobody or almost nobody were using that. And finally, we embed in that SET folder some COE tools that help you better prepare demos. One of them, an example, is how to embed a picture of your customer in your login screen, for example. Just some small bits and pieces of that. So quickly, just to show you that during the latest releases, these are the last ones that we did, the latest ones. So last one was in 2022 R3, and next one will be in 2023 R1. Okay, so we don't have in R4. We try to do release new versions when we have some important new features or updates, not only in X3, but also in those ISVs or external global tech partners that we are working with. It's a pity, but since we saw that demo scripts were not used, so since 2021 R2, we don't release anymore. Okay, so that's something that we plan to improve. As you see in R3, what we included, it was all of this here that I'm going to explain a little bit now. So the content overview. What we do, so as we said, we offer, for example, there is a dedicated user that it's called ModX3 user. So you have all the logins in when we release this machine, you have all a specific blank paper where we explain all the logins and passwords. So you have a dedicated user where you can find by domain specific home pages with our more sought after visual processes. Okay, here I included one for advanced bank statement because it's the one I created, but you can find many of them. Okay, so by default, you access to this user and you can find several visual processes by domain. Another small thing is that you have like a library that you have by domain as well, or by flow, by business flow, some examples of visual processes that could maybe motivate you or enlighten you to create your own ones. Okay, so it's always good to have a reference for these visual processes, because you know as well that some consultants, sometimes me as well, when I was in projects, we forgot that this is a powerful tool and we think, oh, it's just for pre-sales. No, I think we should use that in projects as well. What else? So the SEI mobile automation. Okay, so everybody, you will see in the new features highlight sessions we are doing in June, that almost one of the most famous new features that we have now nowadays is the mobile automation. So all the screens are being moved into this. So you will see that in this we have a fully configured and working version of the mobile automation in this environment. Okay, so several manufacturing and distribution functions have been adapted to be able to be managed from a handheld device. So that's one of the benefits that you can get from that. Another one, web scheduling. So it's also another sought after topic. So there is also a fully configured and integrated web scheduling solution. So in and out interfaces. So we send information from X3 into web scheduling, and we send this information back. And this is working. So if you need to demo web scheduling, you have a from scratch built version that you could use when you need that. ATP, more and more this is becoming a trend as well. Okay, so if you want to build some scripts, so you then after that, when you are doing maybe an upgrade and you want to do automated test, so why not? We have here a fully also configured ATP working environment. And the new thing, this release in R1, is that we will include the script assistance. What is the script assistant? It will allow you to do the steps in SEI without having to code them, okay? And then this assistant will create the script for you, okay? So that would be a real improvement that you would benefit from that. You could benefit from that. What else? This is maybe a minor thing, but you can also showcase how you can use X3 APIs. That it's also really common now. So you have a portal that has been created, and you can showcase how to integrate the sales or a sales or purchase portal. Connecting to external source. Okay, so that's another thing that you can use in that environment. We also have a sandbox, so a connection to a sandbox. I think we explained that also in the new features highlight sometimes. So here you can connect to this sandbox, that it's the seed folder that is behind this environment, and you can execute some queries or some mutations that you where you also update data, not only in query, but update data in X3. So you have that available in our environment. Then we also have a pre-installed SEI solution with the latest version. So there has been lately some updates on this SEI, and in R1, which is the new release, we will include these updates, of course. And here maybe Jason King want to say something, because this is a report pack that I know that the North American COE, they created multiple reports based on your local specificities. And since they are great, I think that we are considering to embed them into the global EP. To be used by other countries. So on this, there are part of these reports that are from SEI. So Jason, if you want to add some words on that, please.
Yeah, so these are a combination of web-based reports in SEI and also Excel-based reports using the Excel add-in. They're centered around standard cost and month-end type reports. So things that are not in the base offering of SEI to facilitate closing the month and whatnot. So these are various reports that were used over the years in projects as well. So I think you could find them useful.
Okay. So thank you. So this is a real example, a really good example on what is the EP4. So it's something that we've been using for years, and we consider that our partners will benefit from that. So that's why we embed that in our environment. So thank you, Jason. Then we also have SDA or SDMA. There is also a pre-configured solution, and it's completely embedded with X3 as well. So linked to X3 in our environment. Not finally, but procession. So this ISV. It's also included in the environment. As I said, we released 2 machines because there are some countries that they don't use it. So it also modifies some of the screens on the manufacturing and I think also distribution processes. So that's why we released 2 machines. But if you would like to demo and work with procession, then you can get that in our machine. In R1, the one that we will deliver first will be without procession probably, and then in some weeks after, we will deliver one with procession. But I will keep you updated on that. And then here I included some NA specific. So I spoke to the pre-sales team, local team, and they provide me all the things that they do. Once we release, they add all these topics here. So basically, just to highlight that they include some visual process that they may think that are more focused for North American businesses. Also a quote to cash data set, so you can demo that from beginning to end, some ISVs that they may use locally, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I let you this slide so you can read that later better on your own. And then this is the secret I was telling you. So these are the demo scripts. Just to let you know, for the ones that you already have the machine, there is a folder here where you can see tutorial and demo scripts. Okay, and here by domain, you can find some of these business processes step by step that explain how to showcase a feature. So, and also including some business benefits. So I think that nowadays are with the old Sage templates, because we haven't been working about them for some years, because we thought that nobody was using. But again, in the survey, I will be really happy to hear your feedbacks. And if you think that this could be useful for you, we will continue working on that and improving them. On the slides, I've included the catalog of the existing demo scripts. Okay, so you can see by domain all the ones that are available. Of course, I'm not going to stop here, but you have all of them with you. And then we jumped into the next release. So quickly, the upcoming new dates. So on the 28th of April, I think we are on time, and there will be the release to market of the standard version. Okay, so that will be the day where it will be published in Sage City, the patch, and so on and so forth. And then from there, normally, and that's what we are improving, we want to, in 1 month, being able to release our CCOE EP release to environment and do the release to market of our machine. okay? From there, we are already working on the modifications that we want to include in R2, of course. But so this is just a targeted date, but I hope I will be able to present around this date the new EP. And finally, because I need to let my colleagues from NA talk, so how we can improve this package. For the ones that you have already been using it, how can we improve that? What we can add that you are missing, okay? So I give you here some examples. So more demo scripts creation, maybe changing the way we do demo scripts. For the moment, demo scripts are in PPT mode, in PPT format. Maybe you would prefer a recorded video. Maybe this is one of my plans is we will improve the release notes because they were not clear lately. So we will improve so it contains all the improvements that have been included in the machine. And maybe key points for a given legislation, maybe more SEI or SDMA dashboards. I don't know. So best practices for a specific tool or industry. So you ask and we will see what we can do. Okay. So this is just for help, in order to help you. And finally, how we communicate. What we do to communicate that to partners normally is that we send that internally, and then from the countries they send an email. In your case, from North America, they take this machine and then they do the improvements, and then this is sent to by email to you partners, okay? So what we are trying to do is to make that more clear. So just in case, because we receive many emails during the whole day, so maybe we will publish that on LinkedIn, maybe on Sage City as well, maybe not, we will do that. And I don't know, if you consider that we can use other channels, just feel free to do that as well. And that's it. This is the form that I want you to submit, please. So I will be copying that link and I will put it in the chat, and I will be happy to receive your answers. And that's it from my side, guys.
Great, Lydia. Thank you very much. That was very informative. I didn't know some of those things, so that's fantastic. Thank you.
So happy that you learned as well. Yeah, I think it's necessary that inside Sage we know that as well.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I stop sharing.
Okay. Thank you. So next up, we have the Sage Data Migration Tool and Jason King.
Yes, thanks, Clark. You hear me okay?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I've been asked to show the Sage Data Migration Tool from the Sage 500 migration path perspective into X-Ray. This was a tool, if you go ahead to the next slide. So just as a recap, the DMT is a data migration tool, and it's an Excel-based tool that was developed and is maintained by Sage North America Expert Services. The DMT core, which is product agnostic, was released globally in August of 2022, and the Sage 500 X3 was released in February this year. You can obtain this by going through the Sage University and the Sage Data Migration Tool for 500 or for Core. They are separate. There is a one-time fee per organization, and then you can use it throughout the organization. After training, you go to Sage City and download the tool. Like I said, it's an Excel-based interface, so it's allows for easy adoption. It allows you to do translation of values, and it allows all the features of Excel. So you don't have to necessarily relearn a lot of new functions. For questions, there's an email address there at the bottom. Next slide, Clark. Some other key points that are included, if you haven't seen the tool before, it includes auditing capabilities, So this allows for error tracking or detection before you attempt to do the import into X3. It does use the standard importing templates of X3, but we tried to do all the transformation work within the Excel tool. Data is pulled from X3 to audit values that they exist in X3 and what the key links and formats of those fields are. And you'll see an example of that shortly. The audit report can be saved, so any changes that you make to the data within the workbook can be saved. And I'll cover off some of the audits that are done when I do the presentation. The DMT tool could also be used after migration, so it's not just that it's used for migration. It could be used on a recurring basis for things like importing journal entries, new products, updates to standard costs. Those are some examples that I've used it in past. I've even brought information from tools like SEI into the workbook and then modeled like a journal entry update, something like that. So it's quite useful. I go ahead to the next slide. So here on the left and right is just a comparison of the core DMT to the Sage 500 migration path, as we're calling it. So there are some key differences between the two. So some new features that have been added within the tool. So we provide a set of SQL views and for 500 specifically to be able to extract the data out of 500 into Excel or CSV file. We then, within the tool, we have added transcribing and importing capabilities within the tool itself. You'll see that shortly. And yeah, go ahead to the next slide. I think this is where, yeah, go ahead, just keep going. Yeah, okay, so I'll need to share my screen. Clark, I think you need to make me presenter now. Okay. Okay, I think you should see my screen now. You should see, I've opened up the DMT workbook. Okay, yeah. So this is the main workbook that you download from Sage City. You could think of this, you could think of this as the library that holds all the objects or all the import templates that can be created. We will be adding to this, so you'll see, future announcements on this and changes potentially to the design here. But you can see this is where we library the various import templates. So in this case, we have ability to load customers, suppliers, products, and sites, bill of material and kits, GL accounts, and analytical dimensions, as well as standard costs. We can perform updates on those. And we can load open documents. So like AP, AR type invoices, and open POs and SOs, as well as loading opening GL balances and open inventory. Okay. So that's what the Sage 500 migration path looks like as far as the import templates that are provided. To use the tool, you set your directory here where you want to create these templates. So I have previously created that directory. So you can see here, this is where I'm launching the file from. So that's what you're seeing in front of you. And then I go ahead and select which template I want to go ahead and create. So what this will do is it'll create that import template off of this, this workbook here. So just take a second, then it creates it. And then you can come back to this whenever you want to create other templates off of this, okay? So then you're in the directory here and you have the item import template. It is Excel based, so that's, I think, a huge benefit actually, because it simplifies the process. It's macro. It is a macro workbook, so you have to enable that. And then you're in the workbook, and you can see this basically mimics the X3 import structure here. So on here, when you first open the workbook, you're going to have several tabs. And then one of the first things that we do is we have an audit, like I said in the slide, that's built in. The audit is something that you go into X3 and you extract. There's a patch provided for this as part of the download from Sage City. So there's a query that is loaded, and it's called audit data. You run this and you export this out to a CSV. All it simply contains is all the some of the metadata and common data setups that you've done within the X3 folder. You can see it has quite a lot of rows. So it has the kind of like the product categories, the customer categories, the supplier categories, the customer product numbers, things like that, as well as local menus to be able to audit against. Okay. So that gets exported, and that's put into a directory in the path. So it's just a CSV file that contains that data, and that's what's audited against. And then in the workbook, you simply bring that in. Now I'm doing the item object here. So it knows it's gathering the information that it can audit from that file for the item object. And you see it just take a minute there. So in this template, like I said, I'm doing the item object, and then it knows based on the item object, these are the things that it can audit against. Okay, so it can audit the product number, it can audit the unit of measure, the product tax level, statistical codes, some of the local menus, customer number, supplier number, and whatnot. These could be turned on or off if you want to audit against those or not, as well as it can audit against things like if the field's required, the key format, the max length, whether there's an Excel error, things like that. These again can be turned on or off. Okay, just simply click if you want to audit against that particular type of audit. We'll come back to this in a little bit. So next, we have the transformations that need to happen. So we have here, the goal of this is to produce a file that can then be imported into X3. So in this case, we want to have a three-tiered file with products, customers, and suppliers. And we need to load this information. It's going to come from these sheets, and it's going to go into these sheets over here. You could add whatever sheets you need in the workbook, so it's not limited like that. So if the name changes, that's fine too. But you can see over here on the product, customer, and supplier data, this is empty right now. So this is where we want to bring this information into the workbook and map it to these STP sheets, which mimic the import template of X3. So we do that. We provided you scripts that get loaded on the Sage 500 side to extract the data. You run the script, you export the data. You can drop it in a folder. In this case, I've got some data loaded in the product directory. So I'm going to bring that into the workbook. You do that here. So this is a new feature of 500, is to bring that data in. So it goes and points to the directory. In this case, it could all be in one directory, by the way. I've just got it divided. You can see it doesn't show you the files, but this is the same directory here. Okay, so after a few seconds, it loads the data in, and you can see here that it found those files. So even though I had 5 files in the directory, it only loaded 3, and that's because it looks through the directory and it matches a key based here. So it looks for this key inside the files, and then if it has that key, then it matches that up to this file and brings it into the workbook. Okay. So next, you can look at each of the tabs. So this is rather than copying and pasting. You can still do that as well, but this just automates the process a little bit more. So now we have the product data. So this is sample data from 500, customer and supplier data coming from the sample data. And then, so a couple things about the data. It matches it up based on the key, like I said here. So it looks for this key, matching this template to bring in the data. The other thing it does is it sorts the data by this column here. So this is something added to the SQL scripts to be able to sort the data. It may not be important in this particular template, but could be important in other ones, like where you want to control the order of the import into X3. Such case would be like the inventory. When you're loading opening inventory, you might need it to go in the FIFO order, something like that. Or if you have hierarchies, customer supplier hierarchies, where you have like a parent and then you have the child, you may need to import first the parent, something like that, and then the child records. So you could use that to bring in the data. And so that's built into all the SQL scripts as well. So the other thing that it did, you remember that our goal is to take that data and match it up to the structure for X3. So we're bringing this data into X3 on the product tab. So over here, it's performed several mappings that we provide to you. Okay, so in this case, you can see the product descriptions coming in, and you can see it's done an auto mapping for you. So this is different from the core DMT. It uses these keys here. So the short description, it's getting this from BK2, product BK2. So if we look for product BK2, that's this cell here. So it used this field, short description, to perform the mapping automatically for you. Okay, so that's built in when you download this as well. It pulls in other columns as well, as you can see. Okay. The other thing is we built in transformations as well. So right now you can see these NA errors. Okay. And I kind of lost out on this one, but we ended up using VLOOKUPs rather than a newer form, just so that we could have some backward compatibility to earlier versions of Excel, okay, where the XLOOKUP wasn't supported. So what we did here was we want to be able to do transformations, and you can see, so this particular one formula here that we built in is based on some data coming in and it can't find it. So it's got these product categories here, okay? And then it's also looking over to the transcribe tab, cell D and E. So the transcribe tab is something new that's being added to be able to do transformations, okay? And you control this. So you can, in here, we want to transcribe that. What we called in 500 was the XA item type column, and these are going to become product categories, okay, in X3. So we need to then build that transformation in, but the formula is done for you. Okay, so I can remove the arrows here. Right now, this is a manual process. We're still working on improving this part here. You know, after going through and utilizing and using the tool. So I'm going to just build this and show you this transformation manually. So I need to take those values that were coming out of 500 that represent the product categories. I'm going to put those here on the transcribe. Okay, so this is the source, and what is the value going into X3? Okay, but at this point again, we need to know our way around X3. So this is another area that we're looking to improve on down the road in this tool as well. So we would look for the product category, sorry. Okay, and we would look for our product category codes here, okay, out of X3 in this case. So we need to then take these and transcribe them into here. So I've kind of already done a little bit of work on this. So that's what, I did a rough mapping of what I felt those would map to. And then when I look back here at the sheet to process, I now have my product categories as I want them to go into X3, okay? So this is always going to be something that's project specific, I would say, right? Because you're gonna have data coming from various customer systems that they're set up for their product categories are different, for each one. And then the values that you set up in X3, those could be the same, but there needs to be some human element here to be able to match these up, okay? So you repeat the process for each one of these, columns. And then what that will do is it will replace all these NAs with the formula that we built in. So I've done some of that work ahead of time, okay? So I've mapped all of those various columns in there. And then you can see as I scroll across, everything's now filled in. So wherever it had that NA, it was looking for these transcribes. So I've got a list of items. What are the item numbers that I want to go in X3? I got a list of Sage 500 product categories. What are the product categories that I need to go into X3? And then I do that for other values that I'm transcribing as well. Things like unit of measures, product tax class, drop ships, and whatnot, okay? So that's what's on the product STP sheet now. It's all filled in. If you needed to add a column, you can do that as well. So if you have something like that's custom, you can add columns to this. Oops, let's try that again. And you just replace this here. You make sure that the indicator is blank so that it doesn't go into your export file. And then you simply go over to the sheet. Let's say you needed this field here to come into your template. Maybe this was a custom field or something like that. So you just drop that in here, and then you click on the auto map. It goes and fills in or finds where that cell is on the product sheet, and then you refresh and it brings it in, okay? And then you can get that into X3 that way if there's custom fields. So you can deal with that there for any number of custom fields that you have. So then once you've done all your work on that, so the mapping is all provided, the formulas are provided for the transcribing. I would say, in my experience, the work was on building the transcribe out and then maybe adding the custom fields in, things like that. But then you could perform your audit. And your audit is going to go and test those sheets for these values. Again, the audit's object specific, so it's going to know what items to audit on customer, supplier, product, whatever the data is that you're bringing in. It'll take just a minute. It'll go in and tell you the number of lines that it processed. So these are the number of lines that I'm trying to import in my file. There's 10,000 different cells in my STP sheets, and it performed almost 30,000 audits. It found some issues. And so this is trying to save you from all the time that you would spend trying to import a file into X3 and then realize that there's an error. And you can see 16 seconds is a whole lot less than, you know, probably the time that it would take to import a file and then get the errors back, okay? So here it tells you whether it's an error or a warning. It tells you the table, okay? And it tells you the type of error. So here I'm missing customer numbers and customer product. So I would have had to import the customers first, okay? So it detects that by the audit file that was extracted out of X3. The description is something I can fix rather easily here. So here it's testing that, okay, the data coming in for the description is way longer than that field provides for. It's only 30 characters long, it knows that. So you can go ahead and look at that. They're all highlighted in red here. You can fix it right here, or you can use the audit report to go and fix everything of that type of an error. So then you can go back and you can see it's all fixed for you, okay? Just by truncating it here. You could always go and fix that further. You can run the audit as many times as necessary, and you could just create, I would suggest a new copy, a new sheet, in other words, of the audit. That way you preserve your changes that you've made. That's a good practice. And then I'll just run the audit again and give you the new errors, okay? And you see just another sheet here with your history of changes. Lastly, you set your directory where you want this to go. And so I'll just put it there. And then you finish by creating your import file. So that'll give you your file. It exported 413 records with 889 total lines in this case. And then you can go and look at that. And this is the file that you would take and import into X3 using the standard import logic. So if you open that up in Notepad or something, you'll see that gives you the import file that's expected by X3. Okay, so some of the new features are the importing of or automation of the bringing in of the raw data, sorting that raw data, providing you the scripts to export the data out of 500, and then providing all the different mappings that are required to bring that into X3, as well as the transformation capabilities. So that's what I wanted to show you in the Sage 500 migration path using the DMT tool. Clark, back to you.
Great, thank you, Jason. One question, why Sage 500 data migration tool? What?
Well, this was the first one that we selected, and there will be, stay tuned, I guess, for future ones as well. But for now, this was the first one that we did, and we did work through with partner as well to get feedback as well on this, so prior to the release.
Great.
But we think it's an excellent tool using Excel as an option.
Right, which makes it user friendly, right?
I think it's very user friendly, yes.
Right, great, thanks, Jason. We've got a quick poll question for you. I'm just going to launch the poll. Poll's open, should show on your screen. Is this the first time hearing about Sage DMT? Answers are coming in. We'll leave it open for just another minute. Thank you very much for your responses. In progress. 71% voted. Thank you. So this is 18%. This is the first time seeing it, so that's great news. This is getting good information. I'm just going to close that poll. Thank you. Perfect. Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Clark. So that's great. Thanks everybody for voting. That's just about 80% of the group here. So great information and great feedback. Let's go see what's new. We've got a couple of things coming up. First, obviously, as Lydia mentioned, the 2023 R1 releases are going to be coming out here shortly. So we're going to be taking a look at those and then kind of deciding what kind of content to share on those modifications or changes into to X3. Second, we're continuing to work on our North American expert workshops. So you'll see those classes coming soon. And then in the next roundtable, we're going to start talking a little bit about ATP. Go ahead, Clark. So let's take a look at Sage University. As we did last month, we talked about bringing on, go ahead, Clark, bringing in the partner learning program. So this is more just a reminder to you all that you have the ability to get to the partner training, which is included in your free fees. So you've got your core training, the additional, and the advanced learning phases as you go, as well as the stream subscription. So all the stream methodology toolkit that we've talked about previously. Go ahead, Clark. I'll run through these a little quick because I know we're running up close on time. So just a little bit more on the Sage Learning membership, whether you're a basic, plus, or premier, access into what you have available. Go ahead. What's included in those basic, plus, and premier plans? Just again, reminders to you that this will be distributed to you after. Go ahead, Clark. And then we got some knowledge bites. So for knowledge bites and all the Sage U courses have gone out through June. So it gives you some time to review your calendars and allow you time to get set up and registered for these courses. We'll continue to do that on a rolling monthly basis. Have a couple of knowledge bites coming up, one in May, one in June. We have expert workshops in project management, which is great learning, the implementation best practices, and the streamlining of and managing trade promotions. Both of those are pretty good classes that are coming up in the next 2 months. Go ahead. Financials, quite a bit here going on. Consolidation, aggregation, next Monday. That class may be closed out, so if you want to get into that conversation, make sure you email Sage University to get registered for that course. Outside of that, we've got a few coming up for stock valuations, bank statements, interest stats, and managing full cost of goods. So a lot of good stuff coming up for financials in May. Go ahead. Distribution, near and dear to my heart. Got a lot of implementing LPNs next week, understanding distribution models coming up in May. Those are all some really great classes. I see distribution best practices, tips, and tricks. That'll be one that everybody should be in for the operations side. Go ahead. And then technical development and workflow workshops. This is really nice to see. So getting more of an understanding. One of the things that we started to do and take part of is really understanding the technical side. So as functional consultants, it's really neat to get in and understand a little bit more of that technical and development framework, so you can have better conversations with your technical team on any bespoke or modifications that you're going to be working on. A lot of good stuff coming up in April, May, and June here. Go ahead, Clark. And there you go. There's your poll. So have you heard of, yeah, go ahead. Have you heard of the automated test platform? So, and if so, do you believe it is a useful tool? So the voting's open. Panelists are voting. Got 27% voted in. About halfway through. Nice. So just about everybody's, about 3/4 of the folks. Clark, go ahead and it's up to you when you want to go ahead and close that out. Good stuff, 81%.
81% showing 63%, 67%, sorry, have heard about it but don't know much about it. 33% have heard about it and think it's a great tool.
Good. Look forward to next month then. And it's great. It really is. It's a really neat tool. Back to you, sir.
So next up, survey question at the end of the poll. As always, we're looking for your feedback. What are you looking for? What type of topics do you want discussed on future consultant roundtables, whether that's operational topics, finance topics, or technical development topics, workflows? So survey to follow immediately after the roundtable, as well in your follow-up emails. So we look forward to your response and thank you in advance for that. Next roundtable is, as always, third Friday of each month, and we are on deck for Friday, May 19th at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time, and one of the topics included will be a preview of ATB, so look forward to that. We've got no open questions at the time, so we wish to thank everybody for their ongoing attendance to the roundtables, signing up. And remember, if you're not able to attend a session, just sign up and you'll get access to the recording. So they'll be available for you. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Scott. And thank you to our attendees. We really appreciate you.
Thank you too, Clark.
Thank you.
Great stuff, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.